but we're excited to have you all here today. My name is Darren Early. I'm the director of the LMU Family of Schools, and I'd like to just personally welcome you to our first co-location conference. Give yourself a hand for being here. We'd like to thank our partners. Through the Family of Schools, we had a chance to work with receive support from some tremendous folks, but just a few. One is the LMU School of Education. They've just been real family and have helped us out a lot as we prepared for this conference. Also, the Los Angeles Unified School District, we want to thank them, and then also the California Charter School Association. And so, thank you so much. Reminder, our objectives today, we have 4, and we invited you all here just so that we could accomplish these things together and not in isolation. The first one is to get to know your neighbor better. Raise your hand if you are currently co-locating at a site. Okay. Are you sitting next to your neighbor?
Yes.
Very good. Well done. Well done. Okay, so we want you to get to know that neighbor better. That's one of our objectives. Our second objective this morning, as we would make our way through the conference, is to identify and mitigate any challenges that we may face while sharing space. We know that sometimes things, it requires a little bit of navigating and negotiating, so that's part of our conversation today. The third thing is that we want to share best practices. Some of you are doing some outstanding things and really benefiting from your co-locations, and so we want to share those best practices. And finally, we want to build excitement as we prepare for this upcoming school year. So as we look at 2014-15, wow, look at that, guys. Remember Y2K? I'm kidding. All right. So as we prepare for 2014-15, we really want to just stir up the excitement and get ready to do a great job together. It's my pleasure this morning to introduce our Dean of the School of Education, Dr. Shane P. Martin, and he will come and share some thoughts with you shortly. But Dr. Martin is an educational anthropologist by training and an expert in areas of intercultural education, cultural diversity, and the spectrum of public, charter, and Catholic schools. He was appointed the Dean of the LMU School of Education in 2005 and Dean of the Graduate Studies of Loyola Marymount University in 2012. Dean Martin serves as the State Commissioner to the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing and is a member of the National Council for Accreditation and Teacher Education, NCATE, Board of Examiners, and California Committee on Accreditation Board of Institutional Reviewers. He's visible in the educational community everywhere, and he's provided significant leadership throughout the local, statewide, national, and international education committee. It's my pleasure this morning to introduce to you our Dean, Shane Martin. Good morning.
Thank you, Darren. Thank you for that introduction. I think you've already gone through the most difficult part of the day, which was to handle the LMU parking system. This is our new, better, improved technology system, and there still are quite a few bugs in it. So we're working that out, and thank you for your patience. I realize that we're starting just a little bit behind schedule, so I will just offer a very few brief words by way of perhaps helping to situate the work that you're doing today, work that I think is extremely important. And as we approach this work and this conference today, it might be helpful to step back and actually think about how this work is situated globally, in this country, and even locally. One of the things that's emerging in educational research is the whole notion of shared education. And often shared education finds itself working out in contested spaces. Certainly when we look globally, we know that in Northern Ireland, this looks a particular way as public schools are populated by Catholics and Protestants and are working out ways to come together across divides and divisions. We know in the Middle East that this looks like Israelis and Palestinians learning how to have shared education in what is an incredibly contested space. And tragically, we're reminded of that with the events going on. We know in the United States that shared education in different spaces has been contested, from New York to Washington, D.C. to Boston. And so here in Los Angeles, we have an opportunity to think about this differently. At the Loyola Marymount University School of Education, we are very much committed to being a facilitator, to being a convener, for using our resources and our spaces to bring people together across the divides and the divisions that are often built into structures. Structures that are socially constructed, structures that we have created as adults and as the humans who lead these efforts. So structures that actually can be overcome. Co-location is not easy. The structures often mitigate against it. But as I think of the needs and I think of the work we have in front of us, and more than anything, what the youth of Los Angeles require and demand of us, I think it's so important that we're talking about the real challenges in co-location and the wonderful opportunities. More than anything, it begins with a belief system. A belief system by the adults in the room that we actually are committed to this work and we can do it. Certainly, there are huge challenges and barriers, but we need to focus on the importance of our children. The other thing I would mention briefly at LMU through our Educational Success Project, we are committed to facilitating this work with charter schools, traditional public schools, pilot schools, etc., coming together regularly in symposia to talk about and share best practices. And I want to introduce the chair of our board of visitors in the School of Ed, who's also the executive director of the Educational Success Project, Dr. Marymount. I can say hello to Marymount. And perhaps as the day goes on, you can meet her and hear about her work. So it's a tall order today. I know that we're up to it. We're so happy to have you here at LMU. Thank you and welcome.